India, UAE, Spain, and Italy. Being a quality expert, she advises many educational institutions for CAA, CSB, and NAC accreditations. She is also consulting many companies in UAE for different quality awards of UAE. For over 20 years, she served in India and abroad in different capacities. Previously, she served as Group HR Director at Linscan, one of the leading oil and gas companies with 8 offices around the world, including UAE, Russia, India, Canada, Egypt, Minsk, Singapore, and Malaysia, operating in 56 countries and more than 800 employees on board. She is a prominent speaker at different universities and government offices across UAE. She has been invited as guest speaker by Sharjah Electricity and Water Authority. She is also a guest speaker for Emeritus Canadian University College, first Forum of Year of Tolerance under the patronage of ruler Al Quwan. She is recipient of Education Excellence Award, honored by the Ministry of Education and Training of the Kingdom of Tonga for the support to African community for higher education. She also serves as editor, guest editor of Scopus Index, ABDC, and Web of Science journals. She is board member of GBRS, which is a research forum of St. John University, USA, a collaboration between St. John's University's Tobin College of Business and a diverse group of international scholars and universities. She is an advisory board member of Gulf American University and recognized for her excellent work in academics and corporate outside India. She appeared in coffee book tables launched in India, UK, and UAE. So she is a researcher, educator, administrator, and corporate leader. So I, on behalf of SIM, welcome Dr. Sonia Singh and request Madam to start her lecture, How to Write a Successful Proposal to Various Funding Agencies. Thank you. Madam, you can start now.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nagarajan, and thank you, Dr. Navind. It's my pleasure to be a part of this webinar, and really, this is one of the advantage of the COVID, that at least we are trying to connect with each other remotely. But because of that, we have an access to all the fraternity teaching corporate students at one platform. So it's my really pleasure. I started delivering online sessions in 2007 back when one of the most important funding project, that was a Pan-Africa e-learning project where 53 African countries were the part, and we have to deliver the online sessions to all 53 countries. It was a project of UNO. And obviously it was my pleasure that I was a part of this project since the time of inception. And 2007, 2013, I might have delivered more than 200 live sessions to all 53 African countries online. So again, I'm coming to the same mode. So after 7 years, I'm really feeling proud that yes, the same mode is coming back, and through that we can connect to so many people. So coming to the topic, writing a research grant proposal, or maybe any proposal which you want to write, I am just delivering my experiences. The format, everything, how to you can do it. You can find a lot of presentations on YouTube, on SlideShare, or the books are there. But I'm just telling you about my experiences, because by the grace of God, I'm a part of a lot of government awards in UAE, and also I'm a part of a lot of funding project reviewer in UAE. So obviously, being a consultant, we have to do it every day to see which project is best. So based on that, I'm just trying to brief you out, because most of the project fails not because they have not written properly, rather they are failed because uh, the people don't know how to write it, what to write it, and what are the different things they have to mention in the project, and they should look forward. One more thing, being I'm in UAE from last 8 years, so obviously Indian funding agencies, I'm not in much connection. I'm into connection with all the UAE funding agencies. Can you hear me all? I'm audible, doctor? Question paper
Yes, madam.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. Fine. So I'm a part of a lot of funding agencies in UAE and abroad. So, and also I consult many organizations how they can write the funding projects. So it's purely based on my experiences. So hopefully you will understand and you will try to find out what are the different things a funding agency look forward in any project. Very first thing, I have seen this that people don't know the difference between a research proposal and a project proposal. This is one of the most important thing which you have to think before writing any project. Are you taking any research project or it is a project proposal? Now, when I am talking of a research proposal, please remember it is emphasize the research contribution in the field of study. So for example, if you are engineering, you are doing something into deep learning. So what kind of the impact your research can have in the deep learning? Whereas when I'm talking of the project proposal, emphasis on the activity and evaluation is more important. Nowadays, if you will see due to COVID, every part of the world, there are the things about anything you can develop for the COVID. Maybe it is a sanitizer, ventilator, PPE equipments, anything, whatever. Obviously, there is a project proposal. You have to give a project. You have to tell what kind of the activity you are doing, what will be the end result, and lot of fundings are coming for the COVID related products. Whereas if I will give you the research proposal example, you will see a lot of research where, in the COVID educational program or maybe, a kind of any kind of experience sharing or any kind of activity they are doing for the research into COVID field, where they are not developing any project. That's a kind of research proposal. So that's very important to understand what you are doing actually. Then again, being in academics, whenever we are making our proposal, we think we are again making a research paper. I have seen many research institute, many universities, they send the proposal, but their proposal, they are not able to differentiate between the two. Now, whenever we are saying difference from the research to papers, proposal to papers, proposal is before and research paper comes after. I give you one example. Obviously, I cannot disclose the name of the company. We have done research for one of the leading medical agency, a medical company. And obviously, the project was fully funded. And we have to, they were coming out with some medicine of diabetes. And it was all through observations. And especially the observations when a person come to know first time that he has diabetes, what was his reaction? And obviously we have to, before launching the product or before, doing the medicine was specially that it can reduce the stress of the person. They want to see, observe the reaction of the people when, especially people will come to know that yes, they have this kind of the disease, especially into suburban urban area, rural areas. Reason is in the rural area, diabetes is a very big, disease, and I'm talking 10 years back. Lifestyle disease in urban areas, fine. In metropolitan, fine. But still into rural people, diabetes it was still a kind of disease. So we have done the observations. There was a group of students, whole project was developed. And after we have submitted the project, and there was a foundation period for 3 years that we cannot disclose our uh, findings of the results. And after 3 years, we have converted that into paper, and that paper has been published. Obviously not full final, but yes, some part of the things we have published after 3 years of our, confidentiality contract. So you have to understand that research paper you are producing after your proposals. In proposal, you talk about what kind of the resources you require. Maybe tools, methodology, you require some equipment, anything. Whereas in research paper, we discuss about the resources you spend. Proposal is your private ownership because you are doing in your university or your institute or your company or whatever. So it's your own ownership, whereas research paper is public property. Anyone can see your paper. Then you have limited access and the public access. Obviously, we know that the research paper are publicly available and anyone can see those papers. Whereas your proposal has a very limited access, you will mention on your website you got this proposal, but you will not disclose the full information. Time is very, very critical. Many times fundings are given, but people are not able to complete the project on time and the funds are exhausted. So whatever money is spent, that goes in vain. So very important, the funding agencies see how many projects they have successfully delivered on time, because time is very, very important for any proposal, funding proposal. Whereas in research paper, it's open-ended. You can do it, unless until it's a very special issue, which will close in a limited time period or some conference. Rest is on you, which you can, send as your own wish. Then last but most important, track record matters. Every funding agency see the track record of the company or the institute or the individual or the people involved, because they want to see how many funding you have successfully done, what is the sustainability, if you are able to sustain that project or not, what were the delivers of your project, what was the evaluation of your project. Based on that, they give the proposal, they give you the funding. Whereas any research paper creates your credentials. You do a lot of papers, obviously in academics, it becomes your credential of doing these type of researches. So it's only your credentials. Now coming to some of the things which normally as a funding agency, as a reviewer, will look forward, and you should look forward whenever you are preparing any kind of funding proposal. First, every funding agency has its own format. It will be either on their site. If it is not there, you can write that. You can ask them for more clarification on the process and procedures. Don't focus on the format of your own. Focus what they are asking. I will show you one example over here, so you can exactly identify what I'm talking, because everywhere there is a 90% are the same, but there is a slight changes. Budgeting cycles, very important. Every funding agency has a budgeting cycle. It can be yearly, half yearly, quarterly. It's very important. It will help you to prepare your own also. It will help you because budget is very important criteria in any funding proposal. So automatically you require the funds, you have to use your fund, because second fund will not come unless you will not complete your cycle. So you have to plan as per the budget cycle. Then degree of the local initiative in the proposal. Let me just clear this point. Many small institutes, they say that we write a lot of funding projects, but we don't get it. One of the reason is obviously, what is your local initiative, like how many resources you are using locally. When I'm talking of the international projects, obviously in international projects like Bill Gates Foundation, it gives a lot of funding projects, especially for the African and the Indian community. And in Africa, they are doing a lot of, the funding projects. UNO, a lot of funding projects are there. Where, as an individual, as a foundation, as a corporate, you can easily apply. As an institute, you can apply. But obviously, they will see how much initiative you will take locally. So degree of local initiative is very, very important in the proposal. Then utilization of the resources within institute and plan of self-sufficiency after initial funding. Every funding agency will give you fund, but it want to see your plan for the future. They will give you initial funding, but they want to see how you will sustain this project after the funding will finish or exhausted or time is finished, because they just don't want to budget that project which will never become self-sufficient. So they want to see, and that can be done only if you have some resource of your own, if you have your resources which you can develop in future, maybe the equipment, maybe the infrastructure, maybe the people who can help. So all these things creates a lot of impact. Now, coming next point is again very important. Whatever projects you are submitting, it has to be very, very innovative, very innovative, because degree of innovation will make difference in your project. If your project is normal, I have seen a lot of project about the customer satisfaction. How many customer, because I'm from the management side, technical sides are still you can develop a project. But when you talk about the humanities and management science, it's all about satisfaction. But how much customer satisfaction you can do? And what area of customer satisfaction? So, you have to work on some innovative ideas. Most of the projects, most of the fundings nowadays, obviously for the sustainability issues, for innovation things, for humanity things, and something you can add to the mankind. That is, and they look for innovation into it. If you are not able to put your innovation, it's of no use. Then also your project should not be too much expensive. So if you make your project too much expensive, then again you will not get the funding. Day before yesterday only, one of the university professors called me here, and he said, our university has gave us a project, like they have to design something, and we are not getting how we can do it because COVID time we cannot go outside. I have given them some links. Okay, you can try with them. They will provide you. They have to design some. It's just not funding, but yes, they have to design. The teachers has to design a robot in their you know campus, university campus. And can you imagine, like, obviously they were asking the quotes, and the quote was coming out 100,000 dirhams, or you can say 20 lakh INR. Because you are sitting in UAE, you are taking a quote from US, obviously it will be 20 lakh funding. So university will never give 20 lakh just to develop a robot for the campus. So they have to scrap the project and they have to redesign the whole project. Every project should not be expensive, because you can say you are buying the resources, you are buying the technical know-how, you are buying the expertise from outside, and you don't have anything in house, you will not get that project. You need people, you need resources, you need infrastructure at your own place. And your project should be able to reuse. That it should not be only once you use it and finish. No, it should be able to reuse. And obviously there should be chances of improvement. That's why we talk about the sustainable. It should be sustainable, keep on making the advancement. So there should be a full future plan in the project. And very important, integrated approach to developmental project. Now, when I'm saying integrated approach, most of funding agency want to see what contribution your proposal is making in the existing activities. Are you able to identify the problem? Are you able to overcome the problem? Because in any project, problem identification is the most important criteria. If you are not able to give the solution of any problem or identifying any problem, there is no point of giving a research funding. Just to make a PP kit, no one will give you funding. Or just to make it, no one will give you a funding. Ventilator has to be different. Either it has to be a low cost, or it has to be, can be utilized by 3-4 patients at one time. There should be some kind of innovation which somewhere helping the mankind. That's very important that your project has to have a integrated approach. Now, coming to this, most of the funding, especially at the university level, either we ask for the PhDs and post PhDs, which we mostly work for the research grant proposal, for organizing some conference and events, study grants, and solicited proposal. And obviously, we are talking over here the fourth one, where there is a bidding. You will send your proposal, they will identify your best proposal, and then they will give you some funding. And most of the governments, United Nations, some national and international NGOs, and some private foundations are giving this fundings. This is, broad area. Now I will show you one of the IEEE organization. Now IEEE is giving funding for many projects. You can see, I think you can see my screen, all of you. Sir, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, madam.
Okay. Yeah, so you can see this is IE and the proposal call was in 2019. And obviously, you can easily see that the proposal budget is there. It's a UNO sustainable goals it will address, and you can see what are the UNO sustainable goals, because any project nowadays with the sustainable goals and you have a very clear cut understanding what you are doing, so automatically you will get funding. So you can see there is a eligibility criteria is there, attribute of the projects is given, and obviously how much project is there, it's given. And if it is less than one amount, you will not get project. If it is more than one amount, again you will not get in this project. So it is obviously the case to case basis. And this is how you have to make project evaluation criteria. They have very clearly given your project evaluation criteria. So obviously you have to go to what are the different requirements, you have to see, you have to address your areas. There is a project community, project framework, budget and timeline, project risk management, sustainability of the project outcome, team and partner. Everything is given. So you have to prepare your project for any funding as per the proposal evaluation criteria. If you will not prepare it, it will not go ahead. So this another IEEE. I don't know if you are looking forward, apart from DST and all what Indian funding is giving. There are so many international funding also where you can try if you have not tried. So IEEE is also one of the area. Dr. Nagarajan, you have ever tried for IEEE project funding?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. And any idea? Because I think in the draft of the things you have already mentioned all the funding agencies which are working in India. So I thought I should tell you something which is outside India.
Yes,
Where
definitely.
you can easily
Yes,
try. And IEEE is related to engineering only because we do a lot of IEEE conferences. So this is one of the things which you can look forward for IEEE.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
For research proposal, there is no
For
limit, ma'am.
research proposal, there is no limit, ma'am. Yeah, there is no
Yeah.
limit. But the thing is that, okay, I will discuss few points in my further slides.
Yeah.
Then there is the UNO funding agencies
Yeah.
program.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Now, because, where I'm in part of the world, a lot of UNO funding projects are there. Reason is because in UAE, we have almost 180 nationalities are working here. So, every nationality, they have their own projects. So, for example, African community is sitting in UAE working for Africa. So any funding project they come for, like say for India, so they are trying to get the funding for India. And obviously you are sitting here, so you know a lot of things, which is how these things are happening and how, evaluation criteria of different people works. So you can see there are a lot of programs for UN funding agency programs. You can easily see, depending on time, depending on things, you can see how the funding is coming. You can try. A lot of projects are there for UNO. So you can try apart from whatever existing Indians or whatever you know. So this is all, for the Indian. They have specific area, specific things. You have to go through their website. You have to see, because funding keeps on coming time to time for different things. So again, you have to apply. So a lot of programs are there, and because as a part of academic institute, apart from technical know-how, you have a lot of CSR activities also, because end of the day you are a foundation. So that's again, it's very important for you to apply such kind of the agencies in the UN. Now, now I will discuss few points, which are related to your proposal. How you have to take or make your proposal. First, no doubt your title or the cover page. Your title should be very, very professional. Number one. I have seen many projects comes, they are using italic, bold, color. Please don't do it. Please. Most of the project starts with the word a study, a research. Um, Obviously, every research, every proposal is a study or something. Talk about what is the most important thing first. So keep your title, most important things first, and avoid using very common or which has no meaning for the funding agency. I want to see what exactly you want to do. So from your title, it should reflect what you want to do. So try to avoid using such words whenever you are framing your title. Then second, very important, and one of the most important thing is the abstract and executive summary. I am a guest editor of many ABA, ABDC and Scopus journal. Like one of journal is now Q2 in Scopus. So being a guest editor, many research paper comes to me. I just see, which is obviously the online, I just see the abstract. If abstract is appealing, I go ahead. Otherwise, we just reject the paper. So abstract has to be very, very important, very, very good, precisely written. And it should look like that, many people, they write a very fancy English, which does not convey any kind of the meaning for the funding agency. We should write that, that it should appeal to the funding agency. Yes, you are going to do this. So your title, your abstract has to be very precise, point to point, good but not fancy English, that it could be easily understood, and should convey what you want to do. So if it will appeal, they will go further. 90% proposal fails at this stage. They don't go through your rest of the work. Because if it is something common which everyone is doing, it fails. If it is very fancy, it fails. You are putting something, you have to make a very simple project, not something which you cannot deliver. Put something which you can easily deliver. So here there is this line that lover normally says to her lover, that I will bring stars or these things from the sky. Please don't make such of the commitments, because you are writing, and those writing has to be delivered in the end. And the company and the funding agency is giving you funds. It's your responsibility to use those funds. So put something which you can easily deliver. Then table of contents, which is normal list of tables, figures, formulas, everything has to be there properly written. Then introduction. Being in academia, means, we are uh, PhD is we like write a proposal like a PhD thesis. A very big, uh, introduction. No, we require a very big introduction. It should start what is being proposed, and you should not think that reviewer knows, though he must be knowing a lot of things, but you should make him understand exactly that he is reading it for the first time. So it should be written comprehensively in a very layman language. And it should address to a common problem, which should give some kind of a solution, or it is advancing to a solution. So that's why, very important, don't overstate, but overstay on your research. So whatever you want to do and you think, yes, this can be possible, state that. Don't mention something which is not possible. And how you can, again, there is a question comes, how can I mention, or how the person can come to know that, yes, we can do this? Yes, we can know by rest of the parts. You will understand what I'm trying to say. So next point, and very important, need statement. See, whenever we want funding because we are trying to develop some kind of solution to the existing problem. It can be any, right? Technical, non-technical, management. Like nowadays, anything regarding the COVID can be the management of the COVID patient, hospital management, or designing the new equipments. So all these things are related to COVID. Some are into management side, some are into designing the medicine, tools, or any other things. But problems are there. So very important in your need statement, which is again a negative, but you should reflect the bad effect of the problem if the need is not met. Actually, what you are doing is very simple. Think of the marketing. You are trying to market your project by creating the demand of the project. So if you are able to create the demand of the project, funding agency will surely give you fund. And you have to show that it is the one and the only solution for the project, of the existing problem. So that's why you have to show how your project will address, to the problem. So need statement is very, very important. You have to create it like that, yes, we can do it. Then comes to the background. Now, it's not very necessary, but yes, we can write few sentences. Now, as you are talking of, in the first part I was talking, don't overstate, but overstay on your research. Now, you can correlate introduction with your background. Because if you have done some work in that area earlier, so automatically funding agency can review it. It can see and you have to, you can mention your some of the work, or maybe the reference of the work. You can identify the gap. It can be both the ways, that you have studied this much and these are the gaps and we're trying to meet these gaps. So that's why your literature review should be selected and critical. So your proposer should actually identify the gap and try to cover up the gap. Then description of the proposal. Now, very important, description is a backbone. And especially if you are presenting some technical proposal, the description, obviously you have to be very careful, because in technical side, you are developing a product which can be seen, which can be delivered. So automatically deliverables, the equipments is very, very important. This proposal now, when you are making the description, you are actually addressing the other specialist in your field, because if you are making some proposal now, the proposal would be seen by the specialist from here, how you will address that problem. You will include your objective, methodology, expected results, or you can say outcomes. And no doubt your conclusion. Whenever you are making your conclusion, you have to be very realistic. Again and again, I'm saying realistic. Your research plan should be scaled down to be a specific and manageable task, not something which is very much journal or, which you cannot manage. So you should have resources. So no funding agency gives the funding to buy the resources or the technical know-how from outside. Then you have to mention the description of the relevant institute resources, expenses, personal involved. Now here things comes how most sometime the IITs and as we say in India or the big institutes, they get the funding and the small institute, they don't get the funding. Now if you will see most of the people who are sitting in DST and all other agencies, they have some or the other connection in IIT. Either they are pass out from there or they have done their masters or PhD, so obviously the professors over there are their guide. So they have a very good connection with them. Here the reference works. So they know how the things is done. And once you get one funding project, it's very easy to get the second one. So my suggestion for the small institutes which are starting or those who are, think every time we send the funding projects and we hardly get it, start with funding which are lesser in amount. Then go ahead with, the big amounts because these big institutes, they will not go for the small amount fundings. So start with the small amount fundings which they don't look forward much. So it will increase your credit worthiness. So, people will know you, organizations will know you, funding agencies, and if you are able to deliver that project, second project will come very easily to you. Then risk management plan. Now this is very, very important. Again, all big institutes, they have a backup plan. Now, when I'm saying a backup plan, there can be a change management. They have people who can take over the project if by chance something happens to the main person who is, applying. It can be some sudden change in the management or some mishappening, anything. So they have the people ready behind him who are equally competent enough to carry forward the project. And nowadays technical know-how is very, very important because most of the organization or funding agency, they want to see how you will keep your data secure. What facilities do you have of your own? So these organizations, they have their inbuilt system, so it's very easy for them to maintain the data, to back up the data without disclosing it to anyone. So they rely on them more. So that's very, very important criteria for a funding agency because it's in the end their fund which they are giving you to use it. Then comes here principal investigator profile. Now principal investigator profile, again, as I said, very important. If principal investigator has already undertook some kind of the funding earlier, so it's very easy. So profile is very important, maybe just for the namesake or something, but it has to be there. And obviously it will add value if some projects has been done earlier. You should mention the starting period of the funding. Budgeting. Now here also comes one of the most important, nowadays what happens, there are delays in some projects and fund comes for a particular time period. So if you don't have funds, you cannot say that we don't have funds and we cannot continue with the project. I can give you many examples like, I will not name the organization over here. A government organization in UAE, they were doing a sustainable projects, especially for, UNO related sustainable project. And obviously there was a fund, but due to oil crisis in 2008-9, I'm talking 2008-9, the fund was there up to, sanction fund was up to 11. So once sanction fund was finished, whole department was scrapped. 70 employees of that department was just, without job within some time. And because they were not able to give the funds after that because oil, because of the oil crisis and all, the fund was not there. Same thing now also happening. Many CSR projects fundings has stopped because profitability of the organizations has gone down. So, but yes, if the funding is given earlier, so organization want to see how much you can carry forward. So funding 2007, the funding up to 9 was there. 2 years government has funded that, UAE government, but after that they have to scrap. They have not taken any other project. So 2 years they have continued on their own budget. So if you don't have a kind of budget, that's why they want to see the financial statements. That if by chance the fund is exhausted or you require more funds to buy something, some equipments or some technical know-how, so you can actually, make some of the funds from your end. Then how much total fund requested is also very important. If total fund, as we have seen in IEEE, if it is less than this and more than that amount, they don't give project. So you have to read thoroughly what is the funding agency demanding. So every grant proposal, without, you have to read. You must write a good proposal and you must read it very well. This is very important that every grant, you have to see all the parts, template, what they require, what information they want, and you have to prepare your information. It will take time, but once you prepare it thoroughly, it is ready for ages. You can apply if there are a lot of fundings simultaneously. But this work need to be done thoroughly. Identifying the projects which you can do, a lot of brainstorming is required among teachers, among students, find out, what you can do. So maybe students would be having some ideas, no, it's not always about developing a project or developing a product, which helps. Normally in the science or technical side, you focus on developing, and in management side, we focus on idea. So, we try to create or give solutions to the existing problem uh, without obviously seeing any product. So system and product are, two things which we can work together. Rest of the slides are, are something which you can go through. This is another slide which is normal common sections for every grant proposal, which normally we see. But yes, this is, as a reviewer, I look forward. First, the great idea. If your idea is not great, it will not have an impact on a reviewer. From great individuals, those who have a capacity, who can deliver their promises, and who have a proven track record. Working in great institutes. Now, again, very, very important. You are working in an institute which keeps their people, there's a healthy environment to work, because these projects fail also. That you have to understand that, it's not that everyone will get the project. Thousands of application comes, a few. So if your organization blames you, you don't get any funding, you cannot work in pressure. Many organizations, now these organizations who are getting the funding, they have failed a lot of time. They have learned from their mistakes. Not first, and even you hire a consultant or you hire someone, it's not a guarantee that you will get the funding. Like I advise many organizations for the government awards, or these applications for new projects, new things. So it's not that guarantee they will get it. But yes, reach near to get it every time. So it's not a one-man show. It has to be a teamwork. And team can be work together if team is sustainable. One funding, you have made a one team, and same type of funding now all people have changed. It's difficult. Yes, those who are not able to think anything or no contribution, they should be replaced, but not those who have worked. many times what happens, the team keeps on changing. New ideas are welcome, but it should not mean that the whole old team should be removed. So there should be a proper environment in the institute. Resources should be given to the person who are doing the such kind of the proposals. Time should be given, and most important thing, the security. Most of the Indians, when I talk to the academia, especially into academia, they always have a fear they might lose their job, they will not get this funding. No, well, please come on, this is not a way. So then no one will able to take any initiative. Every initiative need some support. If it fails, again it needs support. If it is success, it requires a lot of motivation to do it again. And all teams should be given rewards, not only one person. This is very important to motivate your team. Direct value for money and value addition beyond the funded mandate. Now, obviously, what things you are giving apart from whatever fund the funding agency is giving to you. A lot of names, lot of marketing, lot of they are working together. So this is again, they will see that if they are coming or partner with a big institute, automatically wherever the big institute name goes, their name will also go. They are going to attach with again new people, new type people. So automatically they get funding. Seen that the bubble of international education, you would be surprised to know that Prudence University is closing this year its MBA college because they are not able to survive because no international student. We have to understand that education is one of the best education. Only problem is we don't have resources. And we are best because we know how to work in less resources. That is the beauty. You will be surprised that most of the funding here, the prime person is some or the other Indian. Most of the organization, the top person is the Indian. Why? Because we are the best. And bubble has blast. Only we need resources. Imagine if people will not go outside and the money will remain in India and can be utilized for Indians' education system. Where we can be is now they are saying we are not coming into the ranking system of THI because they feel they are the best. Yes, they are best. So very important to understand what you are learning. This is a message to all the students, the upcoming students or the students who are current. Try to read more. Try to find what you can do. Your mind, if you are spending most of the time, just wasting your time and some of the other useless things. So actually you are killing your career. So for this, this is very important from writing style, English and all that you can easily understand. So most important thing, reviewers, I have discussed all the points. So any questions you can ask me.